What if your acid reflux isn't just about too much stomach acid, but a weak stomach valve? That burning sensation in your chest, the bitter taste in your mouth, the nighttime discomfort may actually be caused by a tiny muscular ring called the lower esophageal sphincter, or LES, that's not closing properly. But here's the good news. Science shows that specific foods can help strengthen this valve naturally, improving digestion, reducing inflammation, and helping your body mechanically keep stomach acid where it belongs. Deep inside your chest lies a tiny muscular gate that silently decides whether your meal becomes nourishment or a slow burning injury. This gate is called the lower esophageal sphincter, the LES, and when it works, you'll never notice it even once in your entire life. But when it fails, your body begins to suffer in ways most people completely misunderstand. Every time you swallow, this smooth muscle ring opens with perfect precision to allow food into your stomach, and then it's supposed to snap shut immediately to seal powerful digestive acid below. Because your stomach acid is strong enough to break down protein, imagine what it can do to the delicate lining of your esophagus that has zero protective coating against it. Research shows that the pH level of stomach acid can be as low as 1.5, making it nearly as corrosive as battery acid. Your LES is the only biological barrier preventing that acid from rising upward and chemically burning tissue that was never designed to withstand it. Unlike skeletal muscles, the LES is made of smooth muscle, meaning you cannot consciously control it, train it in a gym, or force it to work harder through willpower. Instead, it relies entirely on blood flow, nerve signaling, and nutrient availability to contract at the exact right moment. If this microscopic valve relaxes even slightly at the wrong time, acid begins its upward escape, sometimes silently, damaging cells long before you ever feel heartburn. In fact, studies have found that repeated acid exposure can inflame esophageal tissue in under minutes, triggering microscopic injury that accumulates night after night. And here's the shock. Many people with chronic reflux don't actually produce too much acid. They simply have a valve that no longer closes properly. That means the real problem may not be the acid itself, but the failure of the one small muscle designed to contain it. Understanding this invisible gate could be the difference between temporary relief and stopping reflux at its true mechanical source. Acid reflux doesn't begin with a fiery burn in your chest. It begins with a silent mechanical failure deep inside your body. A failure in the lower esophageal sphincter means your stomach is no longer a sealed chamber, but a pressurized container with a leaking lid. Every time this valve weakens or relaxes at the wrong moment, stomach acid is pushed upward into tissue that has no biological defense against it. And here's the disturbing truth. This backflow can begin even when you feel absolutely nothing at all. Scientists call this condition GERD, gastroesophageal reflux disease. And it's not just discomfort, it's a progressive breakdown of cellular protection. When the LES fails to maintain pressure, the acid that was meant to digest your food begins digesting you instead. Studies show that repeated reflux episodes can expose the esophagus to acid dozens of times a day, especially after meals or when lying down. Each exposure triggers inflammation, microscopic erosion, and oxidative stress inside the esophageal lining. Over time, this can alter the very structure of the cells themselves, replacing healthy tissue with abnormal, damage-prone cells. In clinical research, chronic LES dysfunction has been directly linked to esophagitis and long-term tissue injury. And what's even more alarming is that increased pressure inside the stomach from overeating, bloating, or delayed digestion physically forces acid upward through a weakened valve. This means reflux is not always chemical in origin, it's mechanical. A compromised LES turns everyday digestive pressure into a backward surge of corrosive fluid. The more frequently this happens, the more the valve becomes desensitized, staying open longer with each episode. Eventually, this creates a vicious cycle where reflux weakens the LES further, making future reflux even more likely. Understanding this chain reaction reveals a shocking reality. GERD is not just about acid production, but about a failing muscular barrier that no longer protects you from within. What if the strength of your stomach valve could be influenced not by medication, but by what you put on your plate every single day? Because the lower esophageal sphincter is not a static structure. It's living, smooth muscle tissue that responds directly to nutrients carried in your bloodstream. And just like the muscles in your heart or intestines, its ability to contract depends on minerals, nerve signals, and metabolic balance. Research in gastrointestinal physiology shows that magnesium plays a critical role in regulating smooth muscle tone throughout the digestive tract. Low magnesium levels have been associated with impaired muscular contraction, including the ability of the LES to maintain closure pressure. This means a simple deficiency can quietly weaken the very valve designed to keep acid from rising upward. Magnesium-rich foods like spinach, almonds, and avocados provide ionic support that helps stabilize muscle contraction at the cellular level. Meanwhile, high-fiber foods such as oats, bananas, and lentils influence how quickly your stomach empties after a meal. Delayed gastric emptying increases internal stomach pressure, physically forcing acid toward a vulnerable LES. But soluble fiber forms a gel-like consistency in the gut, slowing digestion in a way that improves motility and reduces reflux triggering pressure. Clinical observations have shown that individuals with higher daily fiber intake experience fewer reflux episodes over time. Even more fascinating, plant-based foods rich in polyphenols may help reduce oxidative stress that disrupts nerve signaling to smooth muscle tissue. Because your LES doesn't just need strength, it needs coordination between nerves and muscle fibers to close at exactly the right moment. Without that coordination, the valve may relax inappropriately after meals, opening the door for acid escape. These foods don't just soothe symptoms, they help support the biological function of the valve itself. And over time, nourishing this tiny muscle could be the difference between chronic reflux and restoring your body's natural defense against it. There is a tiny gas inside your body that could determine whether your stomach valve seals shut or silently fails when you need it most. It's called nitric oxide, and this naturally produced molecule controls how your smooth muscles relax and contract throughout the digestive system, including the lower esophageal sphincter, the very valve responsible for keeping corrosive stomach acid from rising upward. At the right levels, nitric oxide helps coordinate the precise opening and closing of this muscular ring during swallowing. But when nitric oxide signaling becomes disrupted, the LES may relax at the wrong time, even when no food is passing through. This inappropriate relaxation is one of the most documented physiological triggers behind reflux episodes. Scientific studies have shown that transient LES relaxation is strongly linked to imbalances in nitric oxide-mediated nerve pathways. And when that signal becomes excessive or poorly regulated, the valve stays open longer than it should. That creates a dangerous window where acid can surge upward into the esophagus without resistance. Even more alarming, oxidative stress and inflammation can interfere with how nitric oxide is synthesized inside your endothelial cells, meaning your body may lose its ability to properly control muscular timing at the microscopic level. But certain nitrate-rich foods, like beets, leafy greens, and pomegranate, act as natural precursors that support nitric oxide production. Once consumed, dietary nitrates are converted into bioactive nitric oxide through a complex but measurable biological pathway. This process improves vascular function, enhances nerve communication, and supports smooth muscle coordination, including the reflexive closure of the LES after swallowing. Over time, improving nitric oxide balance may help restore the mechanical rhythm of this vital valve. Because when muscular timing is lost, acid doesn't need force to escape, it only needs a moment. And nitric oxide may be the invisible messenger that decides whether that moment ever happens. Every time acid escapes into your esophagus, it doesn't just cause discomfort. It ignites an inflammatory response that your body treats like a chemical injury. Because the lining of your esophagus was never designed to withstand repeated exposure to digestive acid. Within minutes of reflux, immune cells rush to the site, releasing inflammatory compounds that begin breaking down delicate tissue. This process triggers swelling, irritation, and microscopic erosion you may never feel in the early stages. But over time, chronic inflammation weakens the structural integrity of the esophageal lining itself. Scientific evidence shows that repeated acid exposure can damage tight junctions between epithelial cells, the very barriers that protect underlying tissue. Once these junctions are compromised, acid can penetrate deeper, amplifying cellular stress and prolonging healing time. This is where anti-inflammatory foods become more than comfort. They become biological repair tools. Compounds found in ginger have been shown to inhibit pro-inflammatory cytokines that drive tissue irritation. Curcumin from turmeric has demonstrated the ability to suppress NF-κB, a molecular switch linked to chronic inflammation. Aloe vera contains polysaccharides that may help soothe and protect damaged mucosal surfaces. And omega-3 fatty acids from flax seeds have been associated with reduced inflammatory signaling in epithelial tissue. Together, these nutrients support the body's effort to regenerate cells and restore protective barriers. Reducing inflammation may also improve how the lower esophageal sphincter responds to nerve signals, because inflamed tissue can disrupt communication between nerves and smooth muscle fibers. Without that coordination, the valve may not close efficiently after swallowing, allowing even more acid to escape and repeat the cycle of injury. Supporting tissue repair from within may help interrupt this loop before damage becomes permanent. Because healing the lining isn't just about relief, it's about restoring the body's natural defense against reflux itself. Sometimes the most dangerous trigger for acid reflux isn't what you eat, but how you eat it. Because even the healthiest meal can turn into upward moving acid if daily habits place mechanical pressure on a vulnerable stomach valve. After every bite, your stomach begins stretching to accommodate incoming food. And this stretching increases what scientists call intragastric pressure, the internal force pushing outward from within. If that pressure rises too quickly, it can physically force the lower esophageal sphincter to open from below. Research shows that large meals significantly increase gastric distension, which is strongly associated with reflux episodes. This means overeating doesn't just slow digestion, it creates a hydraulic push against your body's only acid barrier. Lying down immediately after eating makes the situation even worse. Gravity, which normally helps keep stomach contents below the diaphragm, is suddenly removed from the equation. Clinical studies have found that reflux events increase dramatically in the first hour after reclining post-meal. Chewing food too quickly also plays a hidden role in valve dysfunction. Poorly chewed food delays gastric emptying, allowing pressure to build for longer periods of time. This prolonged pressure repeatedly tests the strength of the LES throughout digestion. Late-night snacking compounds the risk by combining fullness with horizontal posture during sleep. In this position, even minor LES relaxation can allow acid to travel upward with ease. Remaining upright for at least 2 to 3 hours after meals has been shown to reduce reflux frequency, because posture directly influences how stomach contents interact with the valve. These habits don't just change symptoms, they change the physics of digestion itself. Reducing internal pressure gives the stomach valve a fighting chance to remain closed. And sometimes, protecting this tiny muscular gate begins not with medicine, but with the simple act of sitting up after dinner.